Right, hello guys, and welcome to today's video. And today's video is going to be a change up of pace from the previous two videos we made, because I feel like I've done my bit to sort of dividing the community here and there. And obviously I'm not the only one saying this and making like videos about whether they like the game or not. But the last two videos have been pretty, you know, how would I put it, splitting of the community, right? I've seen you guys like this game, I've seen some of you hate this game, I've seen some of you hate my opinion, I've seen some of you like my opinion. Is what it is, right? You either love or hate this game. You've either bought this game for $70 or you haven't bought this game for $70. But today, I want to talk about something that I think the entire community agrees on, which is the one thing that I believe is massively holding back Modern Warfare 3. Now, does that mean I hate Modern Warfare 3? Have I changed my opinion? Absolutely not, okay? I do like this game. I enjoy it a lot. I can't wait to hop on every time I play. Like, I do enjoy this game a lot. From zombies to multiplayer, you name it, I love it. But unanimously, I think everyone agrees that skill-based matchmaking, yes, we're doing a skill-based matchmaking kind of rant slash talk, and I don't expect much to change, of course. It's not like this one video is going to change how skill-based matchmaking works in Modern Warfare 3. But we need to see something change in Modern Warfare 3, so I kind of want to talk about this with skill-based matchmaking. But speaking of skill-based matchmaking, you're seeing me play a game in the... there's gameplay in the background, which is me using the MCW, but it's in Ground War. Now, Ground War is very enjoyable in this game. It's like... It reminds me of MW 2019 Ground War, and I believe we've had Ground War in like previous games as well. Didn't quite capture the... How would I put it? The amazing sort of like experience of the MW 2019 Ground War. Ground War in MW 2019 was very good, and Modern Warfare 3 seems to have recaptured that ability of, you know, playing Ground War, going in 32 versus 32 on huge maps where snipers, assault rifles, you meet all kinds of players and stuff, you got tanks, all that stuff. It's great. But the one thing that this mode like has that all other modes don't enjoy from, where you like, you know, you play your 6v6, and even in the war game mode, I believe there is skill-based matchmaking in the war mode, but all other modes in 6v6 have skill-based matchmaking, which makes it a lot less enjoyable than Ground War, in my opinion. So you will probably find that I play Ground War a lot more than I do 6v6. Not that I completely avoid it, I do still play 6v6, but when I know I'm just going against sweat after sweat, and I mean, like, we're talking six-man teams, those who only use the MCW every single game, you know, they're using the top meta weapons, and when this game, you know, settles down a bit and everyone knows what the meta is, that's going to become, like, even worse. You know, people are going to know what type of movement to do, etc. You name it, they're going to do it. The skill-based matchmaking absolutely ruins those modes, like 6v6. Like, 6v6, I'd love to play it more, but it's hard to play something where I know I can go into a completely different mode and have a much better experience. And this isn't one of those, like, I don't know. I kind of want to defeat this point already, which is, I know some people argue, well, you just want to beat up on bad players. That's absolutely not the case. So Ground War is just a good mixture of people. You get your low skill players, your medium skill players, and your really good players, right? And it's kind of noticeable by the end of the game. You got the people who drop in 40 plus 50, 60 kills. Then you got the people who are dropping 10 and maybe going 10 and 30 in that. You know, maybe they're using snipers or something, or there's people, you know, you get your mixed experience as well. You get people camping, you get people doing the movement, you get people playing all strategic and going for their kill streaks. You name it, you get all kinds of players, and that's just what Call of Duty should be. It's like how it was in the past, right? You go into 66 and say Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, you name it, all these old cards that didn't have skill-based matchmaking, or even, well, I like to say they don't have skill-based matchmaking. They actually did have skill-based matchmaking, however, it was a lot less, how would I put it, strong than it is nowadays. Like, back in those days, there was skill-based matchmaking to protect the lowest of the lowest players. We're talking players who probably do deserve skill-based matchmaking because they do struggle with the game, and that's because they might have a hand missing, they might have, you know, mental issues that, you know, stop them from playing the game as being fully capable as other players. So those players are naturally going to have bad KDs, be bad at the game, be slow, and have bad score per minutes. Those types of people absolutely deserve being protected and put in a protected bracket. However, that protected bracket seems to have escalated through the years, and skill-based matchmaking has got further and further and further. And this all kind of started from Advanced Warfare. If you remember, Advanced Warfare was the first big hit that said, hey, right, skill-based matchmaking through the roof, right? And it didn't do too well. I don't know if that was because of the game. I don't know if it was because of jetpacks. I don't know whether it was because of the skill-based matchmaking. But Advanced Warfare didn't do too amazing. It was okay, but it didn't do too amazing, did it? And we kind of did away with that. Like, Black Ops 3 felt like it got back to normal and stuff. But then we came around to MW 2019 and stuff. And then it sort of like came back tenfold. Black Ops Cold War was probably the worst for it, I'd imagine, because Black Ops Cold War, in my opinion, was a very, very good game. However, the skill-based matchmaking in that game was absolutely through the roof and made it unbearable. Like, if you thought you were getting a good lobby, good luck, right? There's a sweaty lobby was on the cards no matter what you did. But, so what I'm trying to get is like, skill-based matchmaking should be how it was back in the day, which was a protected bracket for those in the lower band. You know, we're talking, like I said, the people who have issues being able to play the game, who will naturally have lower KDs and lower score per minutes because of the issues they are dealing with. They might have, you know, be using one of those special controllers, which if you've ever seen, Xbox has like a special controller. It's not even really a controller, it's like a massive pad that has a big circle. It makes it so people can play the game and makes it more accessible and stuff. But a lot of people abuse this as well, and I'll talk about that as well, why like skill-based matchmaking doesn't even work anyway and is kind of being abused and making it worse for those types of players anyway. But you used to see a mixture of people, you know? You used to get slaughtered by that one player who was just better than you. You'd go into a lobby and it'd be, you know, an average experience. Like, it wasn't like no skill-based matchmaking led to everyone who was a good player absolutely dominating every single lobby and getting nukes every single lobby because they're better than everyone. That just isn't the case, and it wouldn't be the case nowadays if skill-based matchmaking wasn't relevant. Like I said, for instance, Ground War. Ground War, you go in, you search 32 vs 32. Do I dominate absolutely lobby? And I'm not saying like I'm a top tier player. I'm probably nowhere near even the top like 2% in the world, 3%, or even the top 5%, right? But do I dominate every lobby? Absolutely no. I get it handed to me, okay? Sometimes there are lobbies where I just get absolutely slaughtered. Could be because I'm doing bad. It could be because my team's getting slaughtered. It's, you know, I don't go in and slaughter every lobby when this game mode blatantly has either no skill-based matchmaking or a lack of skill-based matchmaking. And I feel like it has no skill-based matchmaking just because obviously it affects search times, it affects connections. It hasn't affected my connection so far in this game, but that's one thing with skill-based matchmaking as well that seems to be notorious. And I imagine it will be a lot worse at like peak times, times when it's not so, how would I put it, popular, like when the game's not so popular. Say you're playing at 4 or 5 in the morning in your country, it's going to be harder to get lobbies in your country. It might put you on a USA server if you're from the UK, or vice versa if you're from the USA and you know you're trying to play a game. It might put you on a UK server just because it's trying to find you players of equal skill in those 6v6 modes and war mode, etc. And that shouldn't be that way for a start. It's like the fact that skill-based matchmaking even affects your connection, your ability to have a good connection game, is absolutely outrageous, because that is a quality that should be just there. It's an experience that you should have a quality experience every time you come on this game. Yes, there's other factors that determine, you know, whether your ping's bad and stuff. Like you could have a really bad connection, like you might be using wireless, etc. But skill-based matchmaking does a really bad job of making sure, you know, you're on a good connection. It prioritizes putting you with players of equal skill every time you load up 6v6, and that should just not be the case. So, again, why do they do skill-based matchmaking? We'll talk about, actually. You know, I think like some people need to like want to understand, like, what if this, you know, skill-based matchmaking just increases ping and stuff? Why is it there? It's just to create an experience where every player, it's sort of like, it's not even skill-based matchmaking, actually. We'll call it skill-based matchmaking. There's a lot more than just skill-based matchmaking to it, which is sort of like there's an algorithm to it. And the algorithm is kind of designed to keep you playing. So you're going to do good when it kind of allows you to do good. And then it's going to do everything to kind of make you do bad so that, you know, other players, I guess, get to do good or something. You know, you get, like, there's a lot of it. There's a big instance at the moment where if you play 6v6, and I've noticed it a lot, where if you're on a pretty good streak, or you're a pretty good decent run of games and you're playing really well, you're going to get that game where you go in and there's you and then your 5 teammates, and your 5 teammates aren't going to be anywhere near as good as you. You're probably thinking, well, how does that work? That's not skill-based matchmaking. That doesn't make the matchmaking equal at all. And you're absolutely right. It does not make the matchmaking equal at all. But what this will do is make it harder for you to win, make it harder for you to do well, because your team will be bad players against, you know, players that are of your skill. You will be facing people who are just as good as you, if not better, and they'll be able to rain terror on you because they're gonna, you know, take on, you know, they have to kill your teammates essentially, and when they kill your teammates, they're gonna get free kill streaks because they've got easy opponents to go against. And then obviously those players are probably on those games where they're being allowed to have the opportunity to do well, because they've went on the stretch that you've went on, which is like a really bad stretch of, well, a reverse of the stretch of you went on, which is a bad stretch, and you are now going to face kind of what they've been getting, just the opposite end of the spectrum. So, yeah, I think Modern Warfare 3 needs to tone down the skill-based matchmaking is kind of what I'm getting. That's the kind of the whole purpose of the video, because I do think it's massively holding back the experience. Like 6v6, I'd love to play it all the time, but sometimes I can't, just because it is a miserable experience sometimes. And it's not because of the game, it's not because of the gameplay, it's not because of the weapons, it's not because of anything like that. It's just a simple, I go in and I play a 6v6 match, and I'm facing people who are just as good as me, if not better, whilst my team is either really, really bad, or, you know, you might just get, it might not even be just that. I might just come in and I just want to chill. But then I've got to face people who are moving around, hitting all the sorts of movement, know all sorts of, like, mechanics and stuff. And again, some people will say, well, you just want to beat bad players. That's absolutely not the case. Like I said, I don't mind getting, like, it handed to me by people. It happens in Ground War, for instance, without the skill-based matchmaking. And I think, genuinely, this game could be one of the best. And I'm going to go out and say this, and I know some of you will hate this, because obviously I've seen the past two videos. Some of you like it and agree with my opinion that Modern Warfare 3 is a great game. Some of you dislike my opinion and think Modern Warfare 3 is a terrible thing, or isn't worth $70, etc., and is just DLC. That's fine, that's up to you, that's your opinion. But I think if skill-based matchmaking was toned down, not even, you know, gone, right? It doesn't need to be gone. It just needs to be toned down to a point where it's quite acceptable and not, you know, ruining your connection, not prioritizing making sure that players get good games and get bad games. It just needs to be somewhat moderate and to a level that's not, you know, pushing like ranked play games in my face. That I think this game would genuinely be one of the best Call of Duties in the series. And I know that's going to irk a lot of people. A lot of people are going to say that's absolute cap. And I'm okay with that. I'm sure many of you will disagree with that opinion. And I don't do, you know, say these opinions just to be controversial and to get clicks and stuff. These are genuinely my opinions. That's what I'm going to say all the time. These are, like, I'll keep it 100 with you. And I think it's the one thing, like, there is another thing that I would talk about, and I might talk about briefly even today, that, you know, kind of holds back Modern Warfare 3. I did mention it as well in my kind of mini review of Modern Warfare 3, which is the daily challenges. But that's something that's so easily fixable, and I think will get fixed down the line, possibly. I'm not sure. Because I don't understand the concept of that, and I don't really like the idea of it. But the skill-based matchmaking is one that's got to change at some point. Like, something's got to give. We can't go through this many Call of Duties now having the skill-based matchmaking argument every single time a new game is released, because it just seems to ruin the game. And I do feel like the skill-based matchmaking is a lot thicker in this game than what it was in Modern Warfare 2 and that. And I do have a wild theory to that. Now, you guys can leave your comments down below saying whether you agree or not. I think a lot of the reason we have thicker skill-based matchmaking is because the gameplay and everything we got is made the way we want it, right? And it doesn't try and lower the skill gap. Obviously, Modern Warfare 2, notorious for trying to lower the skill gap. It took away the red dots on the minimap, it took away the ability to move, it took away slide cancelling, it had a very fast time to kill. All these things weren't done to make the gameplay experience good, they were done to make the game easy for newer players, because it would be easy to kill someone in a time to kill that, you know, is like half a second, right? Having next to no movement makes it easier to hit shots. The aim assist being so strong makes it easier to hit shots. All this sort of things, you know, are done to make a lower skill gap. But this game now obviously has a higher skill gap. It has red dots on the minimap, you have movement, you have a higher time to kill. The guns, well, they don't really have recoil, to be honest. They've got probably like the same, they've probably got less recoil actually than Modern Warfare 2, to be honest. But that's probably one of the things they've tried to keep for the newer players and the players who need, you know, that little bit more help or want to not feel like they're getting punched in the mouth, as Infinity Ward likes to put it. But I think because of the mechanics and the gameplay that we've got, which promote a higher skill gap, they have increased the skill-based matchmaking. And the reason they do that is because of that reason, is the fact that it's a higher skill gap. And the only way to make those newer players and those players who are going to get probably beaten up by those people using the movement, being able to jump shot, slide cancel, you name it, the mechanics that they won't be able to do, is to keep those better players away from them. Now, yes, of course, that doesn't stop it from Ground War, but a lot of people are probably going to play 6v6 over Ground War. You know, a casual player probably doesn't even know that Ground War doesn't actually have skill-based matchmaking, compared to a, you know, player like myself or you guys watching this video who probably have played Call of Duty for quite a few years now, or even, you know, watching this video, like, kind of like to watch Call of Duty and know about Call of Duty, will understand kind of, like, the difference in skill-based matchmaking levels. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts today video. Like, I think skill-based matchmaking is the one thing that is holding back Modern Warfare 3 so massively from being one of the best games in the series, in my opinion. I think it's underrated now as it is, and it's going to stay underrated if skill-based matchmaking doesn't get reduced. I don't think that will happen, of course. This video isn't really an attempt at trying to get that changed. Because, let's be honest, it's been going on for years now. We know that skill-based matchmaking / the algorithm-based matchmaking needs changing. But it's not something that's going to change anytime soon. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe notifications on, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye!